Quarterback Mike White is expected to play in week 17 against Seattle in Seattle. And the Seahawks give up a lot of fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. This is one of those green matchups. And yes, White is coming off of the ribs injury. So maybe he doesn't hit that like quarterback 5, quarterback 6, quarterback 7 type of ceiling. But in his two other green games this year, where he was the starting quarterback against Chicago, he finishes the quarterback 6, 22 of 28, 3 passing touchdowns. And then week 13 against Minnesota, 369 passing yards and a rushing score, finishes the quarterback 7. So I think Mike White is in that top 10, top 12 quarterback discussion. The way he's played this year, you have to be happy with, even against Buffalo, which is a red matchup. It's a tough matchup against quarterbacks. Still 268 passing yards. He didn't throw any interceptions in that game. Finishes the quarterback 22, but you have to remember he got hit multiple times in the ribs, and he missed the last 2 games against Detroit and Jacksonville due to those ribs injuries. But now he's had time. He's been medically cleared, and this is where you got to trust that he's going to get the ball to his guys. This year, 22 of 28 is 75+% completion percentage, and then even in that Minnesota game, 31 of 57. So there's passing volume that can exist with Mike White. This game could turn into a nice little shootout for the Seahawks and then the Jets. So I'm interested in getting Mike White as a streaming option at quarterback this week. I get it that we're a little hesitant maybe about the ribs, and based on what I've been reading and researching, there's only really the upside issue. We've seen some of those from Justin Herbert, right? So if we remember at the beginning of the year, Justin Herbert dealt with a ribs injury, and we still saw, like, yes, a couple inconsistent, like quarterback 21s and quarterback 18s and 24s, but then quarterback 8 as well against Seattle, where there was a lot of passing volume against the Seahawks. So could I see 30 completions on 50 attempts for 275 to 300 yards and a couple touchdowns? Yeah, that's what I could see for Mike White. If you like the content and this is helpful to you, make sure you hit that red subscribe button. It really helps the channel. So I'm interested in seeing if he can get into that quarterback 10, quarterback 12 range. I'm more excited about starting him than like Aaron Rodgers, right? Even though it's against Minnesota, the game is in Green Bay. I don't expect this to be a high scoring game, even though Minnesota does give up a lot of fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks and wide receivers. It's just that the weather's probably going to be cold. It's going to be outside in the dome. And I'd rather take the role on a game that could turn into a massive shootout. I just don't think Green Bay has the offensive weapons to do it, whereas the New York Jets have, of course, Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson and Corey Davis, who's healthy. That's why I'm leaning Mike White for week number 17.